All right, let's get started today. I was able to interview three completely different teachers for this project. I got to interview a grade 4, grade 5 Montessori public school teacher. I got to interview a middle school related arts teacher and an international elementary drama teacher. I really wanted to see what I could get from three very different teachers and see what kind of things were similar and what was different in regards to building relationships. So, first question was, how do they build relationships between parents, guardians, and teachers? So, my first candidate said that they communicate through an app called Remind. They do phone calls and they meet with the parents in person. They send positive messages home to students. Instead of just being negative, they're also sending home those positive notes just to say that the kids did a really good job that day. They did biweekly or monthly newsletters based on what was happening in the classroom, and that helped connect the parents to what was happening in the classroom with the teachers and the students. And they involved the parents by allowing them to come into the classroom to volunteer for things like they had a big science day, or if the parents just want to come in and volunteer at the school. My second candidate said that they built relationships between parents and teachers by hosting events specifically geared towards parents. So they have parent teacher nights a couple times a year. They had a big orientation at the beginning of the school year where students could bring their parents to meet their favorite teachers and the teachers that they had. And they have a curriculum night where the parents can really get an in-depth look at what curriculum they're following. And my final person, they did a parent-teacher open house night that had a translator. So every teacher was connected with a translator, and they were able to tell the parents what curriculum they used, their background, what they had worked on previously, because those international parents really wanted to know more about these Western teachers. And then on top of that, they had parent hour at least once a week. It was required for teachers to have 1 hour set aside after school or before school that parents could come meet with them if they had any concerns about their child. All right, my second question, building relationships between teachers and administration. Now, this was a very mixed bag. I told that my interviewees that they could be very candid with me about what worked and what didn't work, and I actually got a lot of negative response. And I think that that's something that should be looked into regarding relationships between administration and teachers. So, my first person, she's at a public school, public Montessori school in South Carolina, and they had a new principal this past year who gave them the book, The Five Dysfunctions of a Team. And it didn't sit very well with anyone. And he didn't build good relationships. He just kind of became a boss, which makes it very difficult to build those relationships with teachers. There wasn't good communication skills. When this principal needed to talk to a teacher who was in trouble, he would call their name over the loudspeaker and have them come to his office just like you would a surly student. So, on top of all of this administrator, who was their only administrator at the school aside from a vice principal, he didn't know anything about Montessori, and he was running a Montessori school. So that created a lot of complications this past year. My second person actually had a pretty good experience with administration. Their school has an administrator for each grade level. So you have your go-to person for your grade level and your classification for what you need. They have monthly faculty meetings where they go over any specific issues, and it's teacher-led. The teachers can tell you, they can go into the meeting and say, I've noticed this isn't working, this isn't working, this isn't working. And they can give suggestions to the administrators on how to fix it instead of them just trying to fix it themselves. And finally, my third person, every Monday there was a faculty meeting. They did break-off groups with your grade level or with your subject area, and it would have a specific administrator there to help facilitate those meetings. It was also a for-profit international school. So another way that they connected the teachers with the administration is that we would have paid-for parties. we would go to like a hotel and they would have a huge banquet and they would pay for the hotel night stay. And we had Thanksgiving last year. I say we, I'm sorry. The third person I interviewed was my husband. I am very low on teacher interviewees at this time of summer. So I have a little bit of personal connect to that one. Um, Number three, how do they build relationships between the school and the local communities? Okay, so my first person said monthly meetings with all of the Montessori schools in the district. It's actually a district that has 4 Montessori schools, and so they all meet together to discuss what's going on and how they can improve. They have a grandparent program where they connect each classroom to a certain grandparent at the local nursing home who comes to visit them and they write letters to and draw pictures for. And it's a really sweet program. They have a huge Christmas event that invites all the families and parents to come, and they have a parent or guardian and child breakfast. So it can be a grandparent, a cousin, an aunt, an uncle, an adopted parent. Anyone can come in for like donuts with dads or anything like that, and that seems to help with the kids. My second person said they do several outreach programs with the student council. They do Spirit Week, they do fall, spring sports, and arts programs. But their main event that I really want to focus on is called Community Fest. It takes place during Spirit Week to raise money for a chosen philanthropy. And the sports teams play, a band and chorus perform. There's an art showcase. They have food trucks, space painting, and all of the community around the area can come and take part in it. And I think it's an amazing thing. And the third person, we had brought in parents to help with vendors and decorators and translators whenever we needed to work on something. We had a huge world fair where parents and members of the community were invited to come set up a booth or food or anything like that. And the kids got to taste a little piece of each part of the world. And we had sporting events with other international schools. All right, number 4, educational philosophy. Now, I liked this one a lot because it was specifically geared towards what each personal teacher felt. My first teacher was that her main philosophy was that the teacher was a facilitator. They're there to prepare the environment for the student and provide lessons for small groups. They're there to support them in their growth. And I loved that. My second person said they believed in making a strong connection with the students, and that is the base of anything you have to teach them, because if you have not made a relationship with your kids, they're not going to listen to you, and that's in middle school, and I completely agree with that. And my final person said that their philosophy was based in growth. A child needs to see where they start so that once they grow, they can look back and see their progress. So documenting and making sure that kid can see where they've been growing. Finally, my fifth question. Find out what some of the traditions, events, or rituals were at the school. My first person said instead of award ceremonies at the Montessori school, they have a bridge ceremony that everyone is invited to. And the kids cross over into another, what's it called? Hold on. Another level of development. So it's not grade level promotions, it's another level of development. So you've achieved this, now you can move on to this next part. My second person said that it's very similar to the community outreach. They do Spirit Week, they do pep rallies, they have huge shows and performances. And my last person said Halloween story reading. So every Halloween, the school invites the kids to come back after hours in Halloween costumes, and they get scary stories read to them by the different teachers in different classrooms. It was a really fun event. There's also winter and spring concerts, World Fair, and we did have pep rallies. So the final thing for the third person was that it was very interesting to keep the school together. We did a housing ceremony. So everyone in the school was divided into 4 houses based on Chinese symbols. And it worked very similarly to Harry Potter. And it was a way for kids to bring each other together from different grade levels. And we had a huge field day at the end of the school year. And the kids got to compete with kids that they maybe never talked to win for their house. So that was a really cool experience. So overall, I felt like I talked to some very knowledgeable and amazing teachers, and I don't know, got some really cool things out of it. So that's it.